Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to MLC Live. I'm Philip Morrow. This is our second episode, and with me I've got Jared Degatere.
What's up, everybody? Jared over here out in Lafayette, Louisiana. Welcome back if you caught us last time. And if not, we're going to be taking a look at some pretty cool functionality on the 3D Experience platform.
Yeah, for those of you guys who didn't join us last time, who missed it, or who are joining us on the replay right now, I am throwing in the chat a link to last week's. You can also find it. Hopefully, you're a subscriber to our YouTube channel. Just looking at our live videos there, where we talked about how to take your SolidWorks files and move them to the cloud. And today we want to take that further and talk about formalizing the approval process for those files. How do you release them? How do you manage? What tools are there besides the ones that we did show a little bit of last time? How to right click
Yep,
and change
yep.
some things. Did you have a good Labor Day,
And
Jared?
absolutely, man. Just hung out with the family, had a few drinks, kicked back.
I did about this
But
about the same. I did a little traveling with the family, had a lot of drinks, kicked back, and while I was gone, the 3D experience updated as well. This is the FD07 release, they call it.
yep, I noticed a few differences too when I logged in on Tuesday morning.
Yeah,
Improvements, so good differences.
yeah. There's actually new stuff in the approval process I'm pretty excited about that I was waiting for, and that's a cool thing I think about 3D experience. The SolidWorks 2022 stuff is coming out, and we always wait once a year. There's big stuff coming into SolidWorks, and then throughout the year there's kind of 5 enhancement service packs that come, but there's one big rollout. 3D experience is kind of similar, but mainly when those upgrades come, you get brand new features and functions. So we had one last weekend, and I didn't really have to do anything for those that we're talking about. It updated for me. I come in, it's time to
Yep,
start
you
using it.
show up to work, and you've got the enhancements.
It's nice. It's nice.
Absolutely.
Some IT guy working in the background for me that I've never met in the cloud. All right, well, tell you what, I'm going to show my screen that I have got a assembly open in SolidWorks. It's not the assembly you're using last time, but I've gone through the same process with this assembly here that I did with files that we used last time, Jerry. What I did was just save this into 3D Experience to start. So I opened it up. It's an assembly I had, on my machine. And then to save it,
Right?
of course, I right-clicked over here. This is SolidWorks Desktop that I'm connecting to 3D Experience. So I've been using SolidWorks forever. I've been using it since 2005, so I just connect
Oh
my
man.
existing desktop up. Yeah, well, not forever. There's a lot. People using it since like '95 release, but I was a decade late. And so when I save up, I just right-click over here, right, and did a save. You can even do a save
Gotcha.
with
Okay.
options, put some
Cool,
notes
man.
in. And we
I'm
covered this in the
tracking.
last thing we had together was how do you just get your files in so then you can open them in the cloud. And I did 2 more steps with this that we showed last time as well. When I save this, I save them into a bookmark. Bookmark's kind of like a project folder, right? Somewhere that we could both get to really easily. And you can do that on save. So right click and save it into the bookmark. And then I took one more liberty. I took all of these files. I just like Control A, selected all the files, and just from inside of SolidWorks, where I saved them, where I bookmarked them, I also opened up maturity here and I set them all to a released state. So we have a simple workflow state here. Maybe I can show it for one for SolidWorks files. It looks kind of like this. Maybe I can zoom in for you guys. A file comes in, it's in work, private if you don't want anyone else to see it. Goes into a space in work, um, and then I right now just with a regular file, I have the ability to make it private so that people can see it. I could freeze it, so it's kind of waiting for approval. You'd have to unfreeze it to really work on it. Usually you'd set it there when it's like we think we're done with this. We're gonna have a design review or something, and then I can set it to released. And I have like the leadership permissions to do this type of stuff, but now I want to get a little bit more formal than this. Instead of just saying, hey, anybody can take a file and release it. Once it's in release state, obviously I can't claw it back that easy, right? We're not going to make changes on stuff that's released sent to production, but I could do stuff like bump the revision to Rev B and start another revision on it and just start working on it in work. But I want to get more formal on this process. When things come up and they go, why did we
Right.
change it from Rev A to Rev B? I want to be able to track this stuff through time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have that formal type of change process where, everything's documented very granularly. I gotcha.
Yeah. So I've put this up. It's in there. In fact, like we showed last time, I can access all of my different apps, my bookmark editors from right here inside of SolidWorks, or I could access them through a web browser, web interface like this I just pulled up, where I've got my bookmarks editor app open. And this is not installed on my machine, right? This is just the web where I can do things like catalog files. I can do things like use 3D Play. Maybe the guy on the shop floor can use it, that kind of stuff. So there's other people that may not be the engineer working with SOLIDWORKS like I am who are a part of this process, right?
Makes sense.
And it could start with any of those. It might even start with you in one of those. If you know that you're out on the floor, you're not using SolidWorks, maybe using 3D Play and e-drawings on an iPad, but you identify also some reason we need to make a design change. That kind of process can start, with anyone in the company. It doesn't matter at all.
Right.
So I think I'm actually going to flip it over to your screen and see what kind of layout you've got if that works for you.
Yeah, man, sounds great.
All right,
Just
man.
let me know once I'm broadcasting and coming through.
You are broadcasting. I tell you what, your screen looks the same as mine. You use the same bookmarks editor. It looks like
All
full
right.
screen. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
Cool deal. So look, I'm going to jump right in. Of course, like I said, Philip bookmarked that file, so it's real easy to find. I can just come in and access it like this. I can also see that this transmission. I can see who the owner is, and of course, I can take a look at that maturity state that I'm looking at right here. Philip, I just got a little difference in audio. I just want to make sure I'm coming through okay.
Yeah, you sound crystal clear to me. Looks like you're
Okay,
broadcasting okay.
perfect. It might have just been you had stopped talking and
It's these
and
good
it changed up
headsets, man.
that
They do
side.
that noise canceling thing.
I
It gets
think
so
I
quiet.
I think so. So once again, this file's in a released state, so we can't really make any changes to it to that particular file, right? That's the whole purpose of locking it down. Now, what happens if we go and we try to manufacture one of these? This gets out to the shop floor and you run into a problem, right? And everybody who's watching this knows that happens occasionally. Uh, so that's kind of the process that we're going to take everybody through this time. I'm going to just kind of imagine that for right now, let's say I'm a shop floor assembly tech, right?
Okay.
And I'm trying to put together this transmission, and I run into a little issue. So the issue in that I ran into was this little chain guard piece that's sitting right here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my shaded with edges so we can see things a little bit more clearly. But this little piece right here just kind of bolts onto the transmission. And let's say that this is just a really tight fit. So you can see there's not really a whole bunch of slack room for this to to make any type of error. So what
Yes.
I'm gonna do
So not
is
pressing.
create.
Now you're doing this in 3D Play, right? So you just dragged
Yep.
it. Is that right? You just dragged it from the bookmark into 3D Play?
Yep, this is all just inside of a web browser.
Okay.
So no locally installed apps. I mean, to tell you the truth, you could actually, or I could actually be doing this from a tablet or a cell phone if I was like a true like on the shop floor type type of technician, right?
Okay.
So it'd
That's
be
cool.
pretty
I was
powerful
wondering.
stuff
I
right
don't
here.
have that
So what I'm
like
gonna do, I'll come over to my compass. Oh, the background.
yeah, the background that's shaded with edges, like it's pretty slick. I don't have that background in mind.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to get with you offline, man. Show you how that's done.
All right, cool.
so, so what I'm gonna do here, I want to change this application. Right now we're in 3D Play, just a previewer, nothing too crazy. And what I want to do is just use the 3D markup capabilities. So I went over to my compass. That's basically where you go for everything on the platform. And I'll click on 3D markup. That's just going to change this application to where now instead of just being a viewing application, I'm now working inside of this markup application.
Oh,
And what
sweet.
markup is used to do is just what you would think from the name. I can sit here and basically put annotations and arrows and whatever else I want on this product, and we can use that to track issues.
Now you
So I'll
went.
go ahead and demonstrate that shortly.
Sure.
Yep, I just went right back into the Compass and opened up the markup app.
Okay. Could you go straight to the markup app, or do you have to be in 3D Play?
Yeah, so you could if you wanted. Actually, on the dashboard I'm working with, I have a tab over here
Oh,
that's
cool that you just put a markup
dedicated.
app on. I got you.
Yeah, yep. If you use it a lot, you can just get right back into there. So there's flexibility. SolidWorks users are real used to flexibility, being able to do things like 5 different ways, whichever
Yeah.
one floats their boat. So there's no difference here. So you ought to feel right at home. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll make this markup. It uses an auto naming convention. And I'm just going to say chain cover is too tight. Doesn't fit well doesn't fit well. All right, cool.
Okay, and
We'll
that
go ahead and create that markup.
cool. So you left that with the auto name there, which is like markup and then underscore, and then like looks like title of the assembly.
Right on. And a
Okay.
lot of the functionality, a lot of the things you'll do on the platform use that auto naming type of convention. So pretty easy to use right out of the box, right? Over here on the left side, you can see I've got just a couple of different tiles that I can create. So I can add a couple of different tiles if I want to show multiple issues if I wanted. Right now, I'm just going to kind of leave this one as is, and then flip over to the annotations. So here in the annotations, you can start adding some additional um, information that you might want to show. Let's see. I'll just stick with the markup area for the time being, and I'll grab an arrow, and let's just drag this in to where that arrow is pointing at like the problem area.
Ah, this is pretty
And
cool. So I see you could do this on the shop floor like on an iPad or something, right? Like,
you could,
yeah, yeah,
you definitely could.
I can see
And
that.
I thought about trying to show this from my phone, but it'd make the logistics for producing this a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
Loosen tolerances. Okay, cool. So we got that added in. Let's just drag this back over here. That way we know what we're looking at. So everything looks okay for now. Yeah, so at this point, the markup is actually saved. And what we could do, we got a couple of different options once we've created the markup. What I'm going to do in this particular case is I'm going to generate an issue. So that's going to be like a big red flag that's going to be like, hey, we've got an issue. Somebody needs to take a look at this and fix it.
I got you. And so Issues as well is one of those apps like Markup. Like you could go to the Compass and you could launch Issue, but it's also a button right inside of Markup. So you went from like using
Yep.
3D Play on a shop floor, something was wrong, you went straight to 3D Markup from 3D Play, and now you're going straight to Issues from there to tell people, hey, I identified something you need to work on. But I guess you could kind of take that in any order because you could just go straight to those apps. They just string
Yep.
together really nicely here.
So great point right there. Definitely a great point. You can select the due date, high, medium, low, urgencies. I'll just classify this one as medium for the time being. You can also flip in and like add in um, additional objects that this issue is flagged against. Of course, I'm doing this on the Baker transmission that we're working in, so that automatically gets added in. I don't have to come in and do anything in particular.
Oh,
You can add
nice.
attachments. I think this is really cool. If you are doing it from a phone, you do have the capability to take a picture of maybe something on your shop floor, take a picture of the actual issue, and then have that uh, reported with the issue when it gets generated. So all that happened. Uh, Really cool, right? And out of the box. So that was pretty exciting when I saw that, especially just coming from a manufacturing background. For the assignees, I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, Philip's in here. I can leave him as the assignee.
Yeah, it
So I
sounds
guess
good.
that works.
Yeah, I'll be at the engineering desk, so yeah, I guess I'll look to see when new issues come up and decide if they're actionable or not.
Yep. So we can go ahead and I guess I'll click start for the time being. What do you think, Phil?
You know,
I
on
know to kick something over to you.
most of these types of things, I always hit save as a draft. I think start here is like also appropriate, but I almost always hit save as a draft myself because sometimes when you go look in the app, because you're kind of still in the 3D markup app, so when you go look in
Right.
like the issue app, you'll see more things in the interface. Like there might be more properties you want to add. So I've
That
just
makes
gotten a
sense. That
habit
makes
for
sense.
any item like this, whether I'm like assigning a task to someone or making a markup or change action or whatever. I usually go to draft and then just kind of give it a once over before I really kick it off.
Gotcha. All righty. Well, cool, man. Uh, so you're the assignee on this. Do
All
you
right.
want to take it from here?
Yeah, tell you what, I think since I made you save it as draft, just kick it from create to assign, and that'll kick it off and then take it out of draft. You can do it on the right side of your screen there. There's like a purple create button and an orange like
Gotcha.
assign.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. While I still have my screen being shared, I guess I'll kind of just show a little bit about the issues application. So this is the actual issues app where you can create issues if you want, or just review the existing ones. This is the one that I just created, the one right up here at the top, and you can even come over into like this little preview area and see what exactly the problem is.
Oh, very
So
cool.
yeah, so I just need to hit. You said just create.
Yeah, it's in create now. Just
That already
hit the assign button there, and that'll kick it off and take it out of draft and say, okay, it's ready to go.
cool beans, man. Well, that should be coming your way. It's in the assigned state. So
All right, man, I'm going to
all.
switch it over. You'll notice the little marker on your screen went from purple to orange, and now I'm switching
Mhm.
over to my screen, which I didn't flip to fast enough, but you can see I got one notification here on my screen. As soon as you assigned that issue and it kicked off, I got a notification that told me, hey, there's been an issue assigned for you to review.
Right,
So
right.
that's how that process works. I can click right on the notifications, or I can jump over to my issues app. Um, which I'll just
And one little tidbit too, you're talking about notifications. You can configure this to where your notifications get sent as an email to you.
Oh
So if
yeah.
you always want to know about change actions, if they get created, or issues if they get created, those can get sent directly to you via email. So you're always in the loop.
Yeah, that's super handy. That's super handy. And so I got the full issues open. I can see the one here that was assigned to me. Click on it, get more info about it. I also have that same ability like you had. The issues app really has a pair of apps. It's got the issue 3D review app. And that's the one you were showing where it actually showed the 3D markup, showed on there. I tend to have the issues app for me full screen like this. And then I can take a look at all the properties that are inside of here, the related objects that are put on, so the actual like Baker transmissions related object here, who's
Sure.
assigned to it, if he's said somebody needs to like approve the issue or not. Additional attachments could be, in this case, it's the markups, which I could view here. It could be Word documents, comments, histories. So I can take a look at that and say, yeah, you know what, this doesn't fit. Jared was out there on the shop floor and he knows that that this
He
doesn't
knows
fit
what he's
together.
talking about for the most part. He can put stuff together.
Yeah, he knows that this is, he didn't really put start and end dates to this issue or like how high a priority it is on here, but he identified something that in engineering we're like, okay, the parts don't fit together. That's not great. So I'm going to start working on it. I'm actually just going to kick this to active. So I've kind of reviewed an issue that was assigned to me and I said, you know what? I'm going to start working on it. Once I said active, everybody has visibility that we're going to do something about this. And I
Yep.
could
I
just,
even get notified over here that you
you get a
just made this
notification on that?
change.
That's good. People are working.
Everybody's in the loop. Everybody's in the loop.
Yeah, I mean, we could complete the whole process here just with issues. I could say, hey, I'm working on it. You know that I'm working on it. And I could go in there and bump the rev of the file and go make a change. I could release it again, come back over here and say, hey, please review what I did, and then close this thing out. But that doesn't really formalize things to the level that I want because I don't want to be able to just bump the rev like whenever I want. I want us to all have a design review and see it. So I'm going to take this one step further by creating a change action. And a change action is really the tool in 3D Experience that controls. It's like you might have an ECN process or an engineering change order process. Over here in 3D Experience, it's all change actions. It's kind of the central hub. And there is a change actions app I can go straight to, but you see how these apps are kind of stringing together. I'm going to go straight from this issue and say, hey, let's create a new change action that we would use to resolve this issue. And I can see automatically, just like we came from the markup into issue, going from the issue into change action, it's bringing the info with me. It's got the title that you picked earlier. It's got the description that you typed in. I could say, oh, this is kind of like, you know what, I'm going to make this a high priority since the things don't even fit together. And I'm going to say,
Right.
let's get it done today. And then I'm going to save this as a draft. Again, that's just kind of my MO stuff is go, all right, I saved it as a draft. Now that stuff gets attached here in the issue, but what I'm going to do is switch over to my change actions app. I've already got it dragged out from the compass. I keep it full screened here and I can see, what change actions I'm working on have been assigned to me, what's out here. And here's that high priority markup for the breaker transmission one. I'll just double click on it to get some more info about it. So I can see all the things that kind of automatically came over to it, the properties, the description that chain cover doesn't fit too well. There's a members tab here which has me as the owner of this thing and the assignee of it. So it's kind of like I own it, and then I'm also going to say, you know what, I'm the engineer who can do the work. But it could be somebody else. I could just be saying, hey, I'm the team lead. I'm looking at issues. I'm assigning change actions to people. But I'll go ahead and assign this one to me, I think. Unless you want to do some work, I'll assign it to me.
Nah, man, you take it, please.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to make you an approver. Before, you were just an assigned user. which means you get
Right.
the notification emails. Anybody could be an informed user. You just add them on there, and that's who it is. But I'm going to make you the approver, so you're going to have to give your thumbs up before we can, like, really release this stuff.
I like it. I like it.
Now, I'm taking a look at the proposed changes, and you've just got the assembly in here. You really missed a file, but that's okay. You're on a
Dang it.
shop floor. I'm not too worried about it because
Cut me
it's
some slack.
well, it's not just a top level assembly change. Like we're going to change a part that's in the assembly. So you could have put more proposed stuff on here. And actually, I can add more things to it right here. I could search the whole thing. I could add the relevant file. But I think I'm just going to do it while I'm in SolidWorks because I can over there. Um,
Yeah, I like to let my engineers take care of stuff like that.
yeah.
I don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. When we get to the approvals, you'll see. So I'm kind of happy with the way this is set up. I'm really not adding much more info here except assigning it to myself, making you an approver, and then I'm going to change this maturity of the markup itself from draft to in work. So we're going to get started.
Cool deal. Cool deal.
Yeah, easy enough. Set it to in work. Any of my informed users are going to get emailed about this one. I'm actually going to get emailed and some notifications about this one as well. But I'm the assignee. It's in work, so I can actually get to work. I could open these things as well from here. I want to point out you can drag and drop from any one place on the platform to anywhere else. From the platform to SolidWorks, from a search into a 3D play, wherever you want. You can also use open with functionality inside of these, but I got it open in SolidWorks already, in the release state, so I got the right things here. Um, the key to working with change actions, and this is whether you're inside of SOLIDWORKS like I am, or you're in another design app across the board, is looking for this little hard hat symbol inside of the software. And this is what raises kind of your ability to change things that are in here. Because there's a released file, I might not even have the ability to bump the rev on it. I definitely don't have the ability to make a change to it. But if I'm working under a change action, that kind of changes the name of the game a little bit. So when I hit this, it says, okay, here's a couple change actions that have been assigned to me. Here's the one we're working on today. So I'm just going to hit OK, and you'll see that little white hat turned into a little yellow hard hat. That means I'm working under this change action, and the files that I make changes to here, are actually gonna
They basically get
get
attached
tracked.
to that change action, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Making it really easy and documented to go back and see what was changed from what issue or what actual change action.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like automation going on here from each one of these programs that we just show how they link together and it bringing the appropriate information along. Now I worked under this change action, and one thing you'll see here is a little plus symbol next to the
Ah,
Baker transmission. Because when we kicked this change action off, and you had attached that released assembly to it as a proposed change, we knew we needed to change it. When we kicked off that change action and put it in work, it actually created a Rev B of that transmission. And
very nice. So it did some work for us, basically.
it did, and that's what that little plus sign tells me. It says, hey, you basically don't have the latest revision open. We have created a
Right?
Rev B of it, and it's in the in work state, so we could actually make changes to it. So I'm just going to get that on a right click. I do a replace by revision. It shows me in the list, hey, there's a Rev B out there, and then it's going to go grab that from the platform and pull it down.
Nice. Very nice.
You did not do it to all the files here, though, right? You only attached the
Right. I only put that top level assembly. So if you do have to make a change to the chain guard part, I suppose you're gonna have to do that manually, right?
pretty much like you can see that there's a B.1 here now of the top level assembly, but the
Hmm.
part, when I click on it, cross highlights, which is really nice, is this one here. It's in a release state. Because I'm working under a change action on this assembly, I do have the ability to bump the revision manually. So I could
Got
just
it.
say, hey, make me a Rev B of that part. If I wasn't working under the change action and you had started to use one, we really wouldn't have that ability. And I can see by the plus sign, okay, it created a Rev B, and in my Rev B Baker transmission, I want to be using the Rev B of that part. So I'm going to do a little replace by revision as well on that chain adjustment component.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And then, whoops,
Well,
I think I clicked outside of there. Let's give it a second.
it's gotta go to the cloud and back.
I
So I
know.
guess we have
It's
to give it a
gotta be
chance.
nice, yeah, if it replaced the revision, and put it in there automatically.
Right. If it did that whenever you made the new one.
Yeah, there it
I don't know.
goes. Yeah.
I'm sure when the FD08 comes out, they'll have that capability.
Probably. I mean, that's the great thing about this too. I've been putting enhancement requests in, like which you basically just make a post in one of the communities and say, "Hey, I wish it did this." Other people go, "Me
Yep.
too," and then bang, a new FD comes out and it's like, now it does that, which is really cool to be back in a software where it's like user feedback driven.
Yep.
All right, I was clicking a little impatiently. So I got my replace by revision. I got B for both of these. The other thing I need to do here is just reserve them, and that's just standard like working practice, right? It's kind of right click and reserve. In old PDM, it would be checkout, and that lets everybody know that I'm working on it. It makes it not read only anymore either. And then everybody has visibility. Hey, I got these green keys. Philip is the one making changes here. And let's take a look at this component. We've got a 10 thou clearance in between each side of here. A little bit fancy. We've got an external reference here, so this is done between the part and the assembly. But I'm going to make it 25 thou on either
Yeah,
side.
bump it up a little bit. I think that a little bit looser of a fit won't hurt. I just noticed something. I'm over here in my bookmark viewer. The Baker transmission file that we were looking at, the object, now shows revision B.1. So that also updated for us automatically whenever
Yeah.
that new revision was replaced. So pretty cool there. You don't have to go back and like uh, manipulate your bookmark or something because it's still
Yeah.
showing in
Yeah,
Rev.
bookmarks always showing the latest. That is super handy. I just use bookmarks all the time.
I also see that you're doing like a reservation, so it's got the lock on it, so I can kind of tell
You can
who
see that.
has the writable access,
Yeah,
all
like you
from
can see that
online, all
anywhere,
from
right?
the
From
web browser.
online, from your iPad.
Yep,
Yeah, you can see exactly that stuff as I'm doing it. That's
pretty cool.
really all I needed to do to these two things. What I am going to do is take those two files that I'm working with and
Mhm.
save them. So I'm going to take my local changes here and I'm going to send those over to the platform. So not only do you know I'm working on it now, like as soon as I save this, you would be able to see what those changes were if you drag it in a 3D play. But they're still sitting in the in work state. They're Rev B, they're in work. I'm just pushing those up. What I actually do on mine is I actually save mine locally as well, so I make sure they're copied here to my working folder. So that's what I did first. It takes care of all the renaming. I can also release my reservation on save and make sure things go into the right bookmarks. These were already bookmarked, but that's all in that save dialog there. So it does all the conversion for it as well, and then pushes those things up. Some of those settings aren't totally default. I like to have mine copied to one local spot every time, and I like the naming scheme I've got. It just keeps things really clean for me. Um, and now I have shared those changes, and I want you to sign off on them. I want you to approve them.
Cool. Okay, so
So
that makes sense.
I got,
So are you going to change the change action? Are you going to change the maturity on that to where
I
it's what
am.
in approval?
Yeah, I got two more steps to the process. And one of them is taking the files that I've made changes to inside of SOLIDWORKS and essentially setting them to waiting on approval, or over here it's called frozen. So I'm going to take those files, those two, the top level assembly that you identified, then the other one that I identified needs to change with it, right? I bumped them to
Makes
Rev
sense.
B, checked them out, worked on it, and now I am putting them in frozen, all while working under this change action. So all those, any files I worked on, definitely anything I set to frozen or kind of waiting for approval are going to get picked up and tracked by that change action. So I'm done working on that change action. I'm just going to basically stop working under it over here. And I'm also going to take the change action itself and move its maturity into a waiting for approval type state.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
All righty, man. Uh, so I can't see your screen right now. I'm just kind of sitting over here waiting for the notification to come through.
I'm not on there yet. You'll see it. You'll see it when I kick it over.
Cool.
Yeah. There we go. Just want to stop working on my high priority change action. You can see the hard hat goes back from yellow to white. So now I'm free to work on other things that aren't here. And I'm going to jump back over to the platform. Now I could do this right inside of SolidWorks too. I could hit the bookmark, but I had the change action open over here. So I'm going to pull
A
that back
little,
up.
little more convenient, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I already had the web browser open. If I do refresh this app and jump back into it there, I'll already see any of those changes that I made attached to this. So if I go over to like the realize changes tab, I've got the assembly in here and the part on here. It did that automatically for me and their associated CAD families. So I think my changes are good. I'm going to take this whole change action and say, let's submit that from in work to waiting on approval.
Cool. Oh, there's my notification. All
Was
right.
that fast? All right, man, I'm going to switch to your screen then.
All right, cool deal. Let me know when that's coming through.
Yeah, yeah, it looks good. You're broadcasting. It's nice
Yeah,
to
so
get
here's my
those
notification.
instant
That came
notifications.
in pretty much instantaneously, letting me know that, hey, I've got a task. I got to go take a look at this change action that Philip has, sent my way. So let's go and do that. Here's the actual change action. I can kind of flip through, see what's going on. Here's the realized changes. So of course, if I wanted to, I could come in and review these, either open them up in 3D Play where I could just do like a preview, or open them up in full-blown SolidWorks to make sure everything is great and looks just fine. Uh, I'm going to go ahead. Me and Phil have been working together for quite a while, so I trust him on this one. I'm just going to go ahead and approve this one. So I'm going to flip over to the approvals tab right here, and I want to just talk a little bit about some of the customization that you can do here. You can actually create different routes that would require multiple people to sign off at different stages of the approval process. So you can really get
Mm.
customized with this approval process down here. Right now, this is going to look very simple because I'm the only approver.
I think
So,
that's super important, because I'm used to SOLIDWORKS PDM, and so the workflows there get really intense because the
right,
workflow goes, hey, now it needs to go to these people and all this. Over here,
parallel transitions and all kind of other stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah, over here it's like we can keep the workflow really simple and still have a complex approval. I mean, we got a simple one here, but this is where you could set up, hey, this guy's got to sign off, then this guy can, then the sim guy's got to give a thumbs up. It's all just right inside of there, huh?
Philip did an amazing job on this change, and I'll go ahead and I'll give this a thumbs up.
Cool.
So it's literally a thumbs up for approval, by the way. I thought that was
Yeah, I
kind of
like.
nice.
I got notifications on my side just now.
Hey, is it approved?
Yeah, that it's all
Yeah.
approved, it's completed, which is very cool. And I do want to point out, you actually need to hit that thumbs up when you're approving stuff. Instead of just changing the maturity on the graph to like completed, you need to find that thumbs up and click it. That's the magic button that
Yeah,
really gets
if,
stuff
if
approved.
anybody's trying to come around and mimic any of this on their platform,
Yeah.
definitely. Good point, Phil. So this has been completed. All right. So the change action has been completed. I'm going to flip back over if we're still on broadcast in my screen,
Yep.
and I want to take a look at the bookmark editor.
Okay.
So once again, this has been updated, the B.1, and take a look at what happens to the maturity state whenever I approve that change action. It's automatically going to approve the associated files, those realized change files that are sitting there inside of that change action. So let me just reiterate that, because I'm over in the changes app right now, because these files were in the realized changes, when I flip back over to the bookmark editor and anywhere else in the platform for that matter. This is just an easy place to show it, but the maturity state gets automatically transitioned into that released state.
That's very
So
cool.
there's a lot of automation that's built into this,
Yeah,
and
I could see, the change action so key when it started and we said, "Hey, let's put the change action into work." That's when it created a Rev B. And then when it finished and we approved it, that's when it released Rev B. So it did those things for us.
yep, all these files are now released, um, which is what we would want in this case. Uh, So yeah, once again, like just a lot of built-in automation that works out of the box on the platform. So instead of having to come in and set up, spending a significant amount of time setting up this ECN process or change action type of process, you know what? Your company, even if it's only got a couple of folks in it, can just hit the ground running with the 3D Experience platform. And I
Nice.
think that's super powerful.
Yeah,
It's
that's true. This is all like base level functionality that we're showing here. None of these are like really additional roles. If you've connected SOLIDWORKS to 3D Experience, you don't have to use all these tools, but you can use them like this. You can use them in a different order or go straight to one. But I just think this workflow is really cool that they connect. You start in 3D Play, straight to markup, straight to issues, straight to change action, and then all of your info is just carried over to the next app, and it can automate these things like bumping the rev and setting it to release. So Yeah, I just think that's super slick. There's actually one here that we didn't close the circle on, and that's the issue.
Oh, right, right. That's that issue app. I'll switch over to that if my screen is still showing.
Yeah, yeah, we're still
Uh,
looking at yours. And actually, when you set up an issue, you can kind of require that it needs approvals and closure as well. For me, if I was somebody who was uh, verifying issues and assigning change actions to people, I'm probably coming back to this issues list pretty regularly, anyways, to see what's still open, what have we completed.
hmm Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm gonna go in and fill this out. I'll just make sure we close it. I'll put the resolution date and then the action taken.
Yeah, cool.
Philip
And if we actually looked
modify.
under more of these things too, I believe you'll see the change action as a resolving feature here that's like attached to it. So it keeps the documentation on all of it. I do like to, it's actually signed to me, but I think you'll be able to close it. But if you forget one of the required things, it kind of tells you there in a pink window and says like,
Yep.
hey, you forgot to, put a date on this thing and the different required ones. And then I just got a notification on my side as you click that that issue was completed, and we can put it in the done pile.
Yep. So that's finished up. We don't have to worry about that one anymore. Man, I'd say that's pretty much a good day's work, right?
Man, that's pretty good. It was pretty fast. I'm gonna switch your screen off and just kind of go back to it, so you can go back to the ESPN or whatever you had up.
I was don't call me out on live feedback. Come on, man.
That was good. We don't have a lot of questions here in the chat. There was a question about notifications, and I just wanted to reiterate that, yeah, you can set these up. I've been using browser notifications, but you have the option to get
Right.
an email notification for any of those. There's a couple other ones as well. You can get a desktop notification. Um, so yeah, you can get notified about every little step in the process if you want to. I think that's really the only one that came up here. If you're watching this on the replay right now and you want to see some content in the future, especially about 3D Experience, but it can be SolidWorks wise, please leave a comment on here and let us know what are you interested in. Obviously, there's a million different tools that you can use in the 3D Experience bucket, and we're highlighting some that we think are really cool and really useful. But there's a lot of places we could go, so let us know. Of course, subscribe to our channel if you would. Keep an eye out for more of these live webinars. Me and Jared hopefully will do quite a number of these and get some feedback from you guys in the chat and
Yeah,
comments.
there's a lot to cover.
There is a lot to cover.
There's
Yeah. Jared, anything else you want to throw on here?
man, enjoyed the afternoon taking a look at all this cool stuff with you. Hopefully for those of you guys who are watching, hope y'all enjoyed. If y'all have questions, leave them in the comments. I mean, hopefully this is some good stuff that can be really helpful for you guys in the future.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time and you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Y'all take care.